Welcome, everyone, to another special 1 hour edition of Becoming Awesome, AWS's live stream podcast where Amazon insiders introduce you to the humans of AWS. I'm your host, Ray Thomas, Senior Recruiter with AWS's Infrastructure Organization, along with my co-host, Jenna, Principal Recruiter. Whether you're streaming through the live link and just lurking, or sign into your Twitch or YouTube account, live and ready to engage with us in the chat room, or even just watching the video on demand later on, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And today we bring you the co-founders of Interns, which is our Black Employee Network's subgroup for interns. We have today Raian Osman, Solutions Architect from our EdTech org, and we have Marcellus Martin, Partner Sales Manager from our nonprofit org, and really excited to have them both here today. Jenna, welcome. How are you? Missed you. What's going on in Europe?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I just had lunch, so I'm ready to just kick back and chit chat. Super excited about the topic and the guests. I didn't know that we even had Interns, so it's going to be really interesting to learn about it. Of course, I know we have been as an affinity group, and we've had guests from Ben, but I really like this idea. First of all, I love the name. The take on the name. And I just love the idea of starting community with inclusion so early on. So ideaed out, Marcellus and Raian. So let's bring them on. I want to talk to them.
All right. Welcome, Raian, and welcome, Marcellus. Good to have you both here. And so why don't we start with just quick introductions? Raian, why don't you go first?
Yeah. Thanks again for, the opportunity to come on and, speak a little bit more about Interns. My name is Raian Osman. I'm a solutions architect at AWS. I've been within AWS for around 2 years now. Also, again, the co-founder of Interns, and I particularly support, our customers in the EdTech territory.
Awesome. And Marcellus, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Marcellus Martin, Partner Sales Manager here at AWS. I've been with AWS for just over 2 years now. On the nonprofit side the entire time, supporting our MPO sector, and my remit is the research vertical.
Awesome. And you already have people shouting out, peace everyone, Interns in the building. so welcome.
They sure are. Yeah, so you've both been around for just about 2 years now, and since you're the co-founders of Interns, what's the starting point of that? The history and how you came about it, and where you're going with it.
Who wants to take this?
Yeah, I'll let Marcellus go ahead and jump into that.
All right, yeah, sure, no problem. So it's funny. Our tenure here at AWS is only 2 years for both of us, but Interns is in its 3rd year, which is really exciting because we started it in our internship year, took a gap year to finish school, and then came back. So it really originated out of the desire and need to be able to engage with and meet other like-minded people that had similar experiences and backgrounds. Raian and I were both interns during COVID pandemic, which I'm sure everyone can remember where they were during COVID. Impacted the recent classes of graduating immensely, all in different ways, but all very much impacted by it. And for us, it was our internship year, and we didn't really get that in-person connection with a lot of people. And when we were in person, it was in empty offices. There was no sense of community. So out of that desire to just connect with people our age from similar backgrounds as well, we kind of got this idea, well, what if we just bring these people together, and in a way that we can support each other, help each other with our certifications, help each other with our internships, and just kind of use it as a launching point for our professional careers. And it's exactly what we did. So that was the start of Interns.
Awesome. Raian, what about you? What's your take on this? And I'll also add to the stage, this great photo, right? So you have everyone here, the collage, and then you see the great group photo outside. Looks like one of the rooftops. So talk to me. What's been your experience like?
Yeah, no, plus one on everything that Marcellus said. When me and Marcellus first met, that connection that we built initially, we wanted to kind of create that into a repeatable mechanism, right? So that's kind of how Benturns came to be. And as far as, just like the growth, I think we started with like around 12 to 15 interns back in 2021 at the time, like when Benturns started. And, we're really happy to say that, our Slack channel right now has more than 250 Black interns. So a lot of Black excellence across AWS in terms of the early career talent coming through. So really excited about that.
And so how do you, if you're bringing in new interns, do they graduate out? Do some graduate out, or they stay in and become mentors of the newer class?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have a process in the sense that Benturns, in and of itself, we wanted to continue to have it run by interns. So we've created like the Benturns board. So essentially, this is the interns stepping up and leading Benturns in terms of its mission, its initiatives. It's not official in the sense that, where they graduate, but we do have a process. Once the internship ends, we want to kind of maintain and continue that connection. So we've created a LinkedIn specifically for each cohort, right? So that they can continue to follow through with each other as far as, those build connections that they made during their internships.
Yeah. And do you have like formal agendas, or is this just like a really casual? Yeah. Are you able to share some examples of what those agendas look like?
Yeah, sure. I'll hand that back to Marcellus to jump into that.
Yeah. So also going back to that last question, like the process from intern to graduating, kind of like that flywheel, if you will. Our goal when we were interns was we realized we couldn't just start Benturns and then continue to do it for years and years on, even if we were still at the company, because the whole point of Benturns was to get that by interns for interns experience. And as much as we love Benturns, we realize we're not interns anymore, and we really want to be able to have them be what's fresh and new and what's important to them be at the forefront. So our goal is really to just set up the mechanism to support that, so that they aren't kind of starting from square zero like we were, that they have the framework where they're able to kind of carry on and allow them to continue to move forward. So we have documents and transition documents and all that great stuff. But the process of them coming into the internship, once they're done with the internship, we create a community in LinkedIn where the entire cohort can continue to engage and stay connected and be able to just, even if they don't come back to AWS, still have that community that they built during their internship. And then we also welcome people that were in previous cohorts. Now this is our third cohort to come back into the channel, be engaged, give them tips and tricks. We bring them back for different panels and things that we have to share wisdom with the current interns. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I want to first also acknowledge people in the chat. They looks like you have some fans from both the YouTube side as well as Twitch. And so we have like Chris Stock, let's go Benturns, as told by Lex, Woo Benturns, and of course, Aaron from Twitch. Marcellus is joining from his mansion. So love Aaron and welcome, and thank you for dropping by. Deja, welcome, and Boy34, welcome, and Christopher as well. So yeah, you got some people. Do you recognize any of the names and those that are joining? If you've been part of Benturns in the past or had like a great experience with either one of them, drop it in chat. Let us know what your experience was like. We'd love to talk about that. So, but yeah, Marcellus, while I still have you here, before we dive even more into Benturns, Ben, and also your professional career here, tell us a little bit about yourself, like personally. Like, tell us a little bit about, maybe a fun fact about yourself. Or it's summer. Do you have any interesting plans for this summer or no?
Sure. So background, I'm from outside of Philadelphia. Lived in PA for most of my life. Went to college at Susquehanna University, where I played football there. After graduating, I moved out to LA for a little bit. Did that for a while. Continued to play sports. I would say that's probably one of my number one passions is sports and athletics. So I got to play flag football out there on the beach, which was awesome. I'm sorry. What was the other question? Just
yeah, just it was a fun fact, or if you have any plans this summer, are you going to do anything? Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, so just starting to get my plans in order for the summer. Realizing I should probably use some of the PTO that I've been accumulating. So I'm planning on taking a trip to Guatemala. So that is still in the ideation phase, but my goal after studying abroad my junior year was to try to go to a new country every year, and I haven't done that yet. So that's what my plans are for the summer. Hopefully.
How'd you pick Guatemala?
Where did you study abroad?
I studied abroad in Barcelona. So that was my first time ever actually being out of the country, which was scary. But the one great thing about my university is that everyone is required to study abroad in order to graduate, which is forces people out of their comfort zone and it allows you to experience completely new things. So that was my first time being out the country, and since then that year I actually went to 5 different countries because I loved it so much. I didn't know what I was missing. So yeah, and then I chose Guatemala because I wanted to continue to do Central America. I've been to Panama, and it was either between Guatemala and Costa Rica. And I think Guatemala just has a lot of cool activities. I really want to hike the volcano and see and get that whole experience. But yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, I hope you plan that. I hope you follow through with that.
Yeah.
Do you still play football too?
No, I played flag football. Last season was the last time I played like organized in an organized way.
Awesome. And Ryan, and before we actually get to you, Ryan, someone just mentioned, yes, I had so much fun at a Benturn event. It was great networking opportunity. And also we'll go to another question. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself, Ryan.
Yeah, of course. And I just for more context, I call Marcellus Mr. Worldwide. He's always always on the move. But as far as a little bit more about myself, I also just lived in a couple of different places growing up: New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, California. So as far as like exploring the world goes, I had my fair share of trips, but. Fun fact. So recently I started a nonprofit. It's called Research Recycling. So this is a little passion of mine in regards in the realm of sustainability. It's aimed at, reducing the emissions from laboratory plastics and waste management. So that's what I do, after work hours, I guess. And I guess this summer I'm going to be putting a lot of hours into it, trying to grow it as an initiative. But
hey, if there's any information that's external facing that you want to share, drop it in our chat and I'll drop it into the main chat.
Sure, yeah. I'll drop the website right now. We just actually went live last week, so it's exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for caring about our planet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, there was a question from someone. Oh, wait, not that one. Let's see. It goes, does this initiative only include current students? And I think they're talking about interns, or can anyone take an internship?
Yeah. So as of right now, Benturns is aimed at like AWS and Amazon interns. So once again, we're trying to build that community as they arrive to AWS. But as Marcellus mentioned, earlier, we have that 3-prong approach where we're looking to connect, with future students, future interns, and start to enable them to build those best practices as far as, applying for internships and, securing their internships. And not only that, but supporting them as they embark on their internship journey. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
Awesome. And then one last comment. It's been a great community building opportunity. I was introduced by an SA who is now a part of Ben for full time. I look forward to growing the network and reciprocating what's been shared with us. That's fantastic, right? That's like what the whole purpose of this is, for you to have that kind of experience, see what it's done for you, and then try to give back and share that knowledge with others and give them a positive experience, right? You want that great cycle. So fantastic. Yeah. And let's see. And I just got your link. Let me quickly copy it right here. If I can copy for everyone in the chat, I'm going to drop it right here so you can take a look at this nonprofit and a great initiative, as Jenna mentioned. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. Jenna, you had like a follow-up, I think?
Well, not on anything that we were just talking about, but I can't help but just look at the date and realize today is June 18th. Tomorrow is June 19th or Juneteenth. And on the topic of inclusivity and the focus of your grassroots efforts here with such great success. I'm just wondering, like, since we're talking personally, are there, as we think about tomorrow as a day, as a really important day, does that arouse any sort of sentiments that you would feel comfortable sharing with us and with the viewers?
Yeah, I'll let Marcellus take that one.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. So actually, the Juneteenth date is actually really important to Interns because it's the actual day that we launched our rendition of Interns once we came back on as full-time employees. So around this time last year, we were just getting started, launching the Slack channel, blasting out information about the things we have planned. It's great to see us this year in a place where not only do we already have a strong engagement in the Slack channel and a strong cohort, but we're actually able to share events that are happening that Ben is actually putting on, and Ben DMV in particular has a bunch of great events planned that we can help direct interns to specifically. But just as a whole, just commemorating Juneteenth and giving our community an opportunity to reflect on the power and the culture and the strength of our people. It's just a great moment to just sit back and reflect. And it's great that it's officially a nationally recognized holiday now in the U.S. So that's also a great win as well.
Yeah.
Well, happy anniversary also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was actually, researching Juneteenth and came across this powerful image. It's from the, the credits from the Austin History Center. And for anyone that's interested in learning more about Juneteenth, I'm going to pop a link as well right in chat. It's from the National Museum of African American History and Culture. It's great to understand, why this date is so important. Even though the slaves were freed at a certain date. It wasn't really until this date when they were actually all officially freed. So again, more information on there. I'm not an expert. I just know a little bit about it from our overall. But again, a lot of different orgs are using tomorrow as an opportunity to educate people on the date. I know there's other things happening, which I'll share in a bit. We have more information from other events that are happening. So yeah, let's bring it back to us. And what I want to ask, well, Ryan, let's start with you. Let's talk a little bit about your role as a solution architect first, and then I actually want to pick both of your brains as to how you got in, as interns, because that's tougher, I think, than more experienced individuals, because the competition is fierce, and I think there's a lot of, kind of like misinformation as far as when someone should apply, etc. So I want to get your thoughts, but first, talk to me about what your role is right now as a solutions architect.
Yeah. My role is a pretty interesting role as a solutions architect. So I'm kind of like the trusted advisor for a lot of our customers looking to, leverage our cloud services. So every day I get to talk to someone new. Sometimes I talk to C-suite, executives, and then on other days I talk to the IT department, looking to enable some of our compute services, for example. So it really does range. But the impact as an SA, it's pretty up there. You can point to a company and say again, like, hey, I had a hand in pushing this initiative, and this was my part in the whole thing. So I really enjoy working as an SA at AWS. So it's been a pleasure so far.
And I see that you're in the ed tech space.
Yep.
So given that you are an earlier career talent, does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Please, your voice is more important than mine.
No, I appreciate that. No, yeah, the ed tech space is a great space to be in. Before I was an SA, I was a PE teacher for a K through fifth grade. So like I do have a passion for just teaching in general. But as far as being an SA in the ed tech space, there's a lot going on, especially with the Gen AI wave that's kind of affecting all the industries, all the sectors as we speak. But yeah, it's been really great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. I actually want to add something because I just found something related to a question asked earlier about who could be an intern and whatnot. Well, for those that are thinking about like career changes, I'm going to drop a link. We have a program called Restart that would like for you to get a little bit more familiar with. So take a look at that. I see people that I forgot the name of I forgot the what you call it. There was like a Robert De Niro movie called The Intern, which I really loved, and he was someone that was initially kind of retired, but ended up being an intern, and he's already almost a senior citizen at that point, right? So again, I don't I hate ageism and everything else, and I believe
Yeah.
anyone can start at any time if they want to do something that they're more passionate about, right? So
Yeah.
I love that we have that program, Restart.
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy has a funny one too, where she goes back to school with her daughter. It's hysterical. She goes back to college with her daughter. It's so funny.
Yeah, there you go. Deja Boston, love that movie. So, Marcellus, what about you? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your role as a partner sales manager in the nonprofit org?
Yeah, of course. So I really enjoy what I do working with nonprofit organizations. I get to, as a partner manager, we get to really build relationships and get to know our customers' needs and kind of figure out, okay, which partner would be a good fit for this use case, which really starts with just getting to know our partners, connecting with the alliance managers, getting to know their C suite as well, connecting them with our executives, and just building that relationship. So that's something I'm really happy that fell into. I actually during my intern search, I applied to a bunch of different roles at AWS and a lot of other companies as well. And one of the main roles I was looking to get into was program management. I actually didn't get the program management internship, and I wound up getting the account rep internship, which I didn't really know much of what it would entail or how it would be. But coming to work every day, getting to leverage what people need and go off that and really just work with them and connect is really a privilege and honor to also work with these great nonprofit organizations that have such great and powerful missions, and you just see like allowing them to be able to do what they need faster and solve problems for them is just really a great opportunity.
Awesome, awesome. So, are you both part of worldwide public sector?
Yep.
Okay, all right, excellent. Because again, I was part of WWPS as we call it, up until April of this year. So I supported both the ed tech and some of the nonprofit teams as well. So again, they're near and dear to my heart. Tell you that. Actually, I wanted to get your Ryan. I just want to get back to you for 1 second. I know I kind of skipped over you a little bit. I apologize. Just want to get your thoughts around Juneteenth. Is there anything that that comes to mind for you, or anything that you do on that day?
Yeah, Juneteenth is just a very important day in general. But I want to kind of push it back on you and just like thank you. As a platform, it's really the platforms like this, discussions like this, that kind of empower these conversations to be had in the first place, right? So thank you for that. And as far as what Juneteenth means to me, I mean, I just considering my opportunity being here, being present right now with the current opportunities that I have at my disposal, right? None of that would have been possible had it not been for the previous, advocacy for us as a people.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
It's funny. Like one of my closest friends is Scotty Houghton, who's also part of Ben, and we talk about this all the time. We had Ben here multiple times, but different parts of Ben. Like we didn't know,
Yeah.
like Jenna mentioned, I didn't even know about Ben turns until you pinged me, Ryan, just the other day, right? I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is great, and what timing? Everyone's, there's so many interns pinging me left and right, or people trying to be an intern, and so that's really really important. Again, when about I've been recruiting for a long time. I remember like 10 years ago, we had hiring managers that would say, we need to diversify the talent. We need to have more black engineers. So like, yeah, I get it. But then you're looking at the requirements and it's like all the way, you're asking for a crazy amount when their community wasn't even offered the education to be able to have that amount of experience right now. So you have a math problem. So either change, so you either change the requirements or build programs to get them there and then eventually do the work that you need. So
100%.
yeah, so I'm so glad. Yeah.
I just realized. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Ryan.
No, go for it.
Oh, I mean, I'm just like multitasking here, and I was looking at Marcellus's profile, and I realized this is not your first rodeo. It looks like you were the VP of the Black Student Union when you were in the university. So, right? Like, so this goes
Yeah.
back for you too in terms of being an advocate and building community. And any comments?
Yeah, it actually goes back to middle school for me. We had
Oh,
a program called Voices Promoting Black Excellence, and I was on the board of that. And then in high school, I was the vice president of that program as well. And then in college, it kind of just came naturally for me to kind of seek out that opportunity to be an advocate for my community and support them in that way. So once I got to AWS, it was kind of like, okay, there's already a great community that supports the Black people here. How can I either getting involved with this, or and then through that I saw a gap. It was actually at my first Ben event that I saw like being unseasoned early career professional, and realizing that it was really great and amazing to connect with so many people that were so established and senior in their career, but it was also a little bit intimidating at the same time. So to be able to create that space for people that are in that same age bracket and that same experience level to have their community as well is where I also saw a need. So
mhm.
yeah.
And so do you feel like this? I would imagine there's like inspiration in the work that you do in leading others. But you're both still are early, somewhat early in your career too, right? So where do you seek your inspiration from to help you also lift while you're doing all this work of lifting others?
Rian, you want to start off with that one?
Yeah, of course. So like the first thing I'd say is definitely like maintaining like current connections for me, and kind of I'm always asking my colleagues like, hey, what are your plans in the next 2 3 years, right? Kind of like gauging their goals, their aspirations, and kind of like picking and choosing, what applies to me, what doesn't. And mentorship is a huge one within AWS. There's a lot of opportunities to find a mentor, and that's exactly what I went and did. I'd simply just reach out to people, kind of let them know a little bit about myself, ask for a fireside chat, get the conversation started. It's really easy to do that. Sometimes I'll even, if I'm feeling a little risky, I'll go throw some time on their calendar, even before I ask them, because sometimes, people, you'd be surprised, people just want to help. So they'd accept it, without any prior information. I had, of course, a little context in the email itself, but other than that, I just shoot from the hip when it comes to just networking. Because sometimes you find a awesome friend, or and then sometimes people are too busy, which is also fine. But I guess that's how I'm kind of like maintaining my growth at this point in time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And that's really awesome that you did that. You're just throwing time on someone's calendar before you do the reach out. I mean, I haven't heard of that, and at the same time, that's and people that want to get further. I think they need to take those risks, and
Yeah.
I don't even see it as a risk because you found out from yourself. You realize people do want to help. They'll first question like, "What is this? Who are you?" Right?
Yeah.
But then
Of course.
afterwards, they're like, "Oh yeah, totally down," especially if you're new, right?
Of course, and sometimes it just removes like that extra barrier. It's like that going back and forth in the initial conversation. Sometimes people don't have time for that. They'd rather just like hop on the call and just talk it out.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I found from my experience so far.
Yeah, someone wrote, so
Yeah.
by
So
Lex wrote, Ryan is very inquisitive. Appreciate that when networking. Yeah, it's awesome.
So share your secrets, either one of you or both of you. How did you stand out? Like, what do you think you did so differently that gave you the opportunity to choose to accept an offer here? So you passed our interview loop. You've been through an intern process, and now you're doing great things. So we obviously made the right decision. But what do you really, when you reflect on that, like what do you think it was that you did, either in terms of preparing or the approach that you took to ace it?
Let me bring on Marcellus. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So I actually wanted to go back to the last question you had proposed of like where do we find inspiration, or where do we kind of get our passion from? I think that's something that's very key in life, because even if you do something and you just are doing it for the wrong reasons, then it's not going to be sustainable. So it's always important to have that guiding principles. For me, it's really my relationship with God and how I'm able to glean from that experience and the idea and the concept of helping others before yourself and just creating a better world around you. I think that's really been huge in my life. And then as far as inspiration, I will say, though I've had a lot of leadership roles throughout my career, it first started off of seeing my sister go down a similar path. She was also the president of diversity orgs and throughout college and high school as well. So being able to grow up in that environment where I had a role model and someone that I could copy and emulate in that way has been key for me as well.
It's fantastic. So you're having family as inspiration, and that's it's really incredible to have. Same thing. I didn't want to be a doctor like my dad. I couldn't tell people like I couldn't save your kid, right? So, but at the same time, I'm lucky and fortunate enough where I'm in a place where we build technology that helps the medical industry, right? To be able to save lives, to be able to even prevent them from getting to that position in the first place. So really, really appreciate that. But I want to ask you, Marcellus, while I still have you, and then I want to get to you, Ryan. Let's go even further behind. Let's take it even a further step back. How did you stand out? What did you do to actually get noticed by AWS and others? Because I think that's where I get asked that a lot by other people. Like, how can I get myself stand out? Some people we find out they're trying to find internship after they graduate in their last year, right? It's like again, I think it's a little too late. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I wanted to bring that to your the point you had made earlier that it could be harder when you're competing with seasoned employees for a job once you're full time get uh, to get selected because then you're competing instead of just competing for a pool of interns and classmates, you're competing with people that may have 3, 4, or 5 plus years of experience compared to yours. So I think it's always better to make yourself stand out is by being early to the game. For any high school students or younger underclassmen in college, I think it's a great time and opportunity to start thinking about okay, where your passions align, what do you want to do, and it's also a great opportunity to just try a bunch of different things, right? Like take that internship in that industry that you never heard about or that company that you never thought you would work for, and just get that experience. That will help you understand. Okay, I definitely don't want to do this after school, or hey, I could really see myself doing this after school. And what that also does is it starts to build your personal resume. Your personal resume, I like to say, is your personal brand. If you don't have the stories, the accomplishments, the things that you can speak to outside of just your GPA, then you're really behind the game and you're not it's going to be really hard to stand out at that point. So find opportunities to take leadership roles, to engage in community service, to just figure out ways to just be creative and stand out. I think is really really key in the application process, and then starting early. So I started going to my career development center at my university my first year, and shout out to the people there, Michael Schumann, Ali Grohl. They really became my friends from how often I was tapping in with them and just trying to find networking opportunities. I feel like networking is kind of like working out and exercising. The more you do it, the better and the more natural it will become. So, like if you're trying to go for a job interview and this is your junior year and this is the first time you've ever interviewed for anything, you have a lot lower chance of being successful than if you've been practicing it, going through rounds of interviews, talking to companies, networking, learning about things, learning about people's roles day to day. So I think those are some of the things you can really do to start early, to leverage your network and build your personal brand, really help you stand out, especially at a competitive company like Amazon.
Solid advice. Solid advice. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I just want to just echo everything Marcel said. I think he pretty much covered it all. But for the individuals, that are starting a little bit late, just share for full transparency. Like AWS, I applied. I think to, I think more than 100 internships, and AWS was the only company that gave me an opportunity, a shot at an interview at that time. My biggest advice is to fail fast, right? Like it doesn't matter where you're at, when you're starting, right? It's just kind of just get started, right? Submit that first application. A lot of students that I've spoken to in the past, they kind of hold themselves up and they really look at themselves through a very critical lens, right? It's like, oh, my GPA is not that great. I don't have, any leadership experience. And what I usually say to them is like, none of that matters, right? Like what does matter is that you go out there and you go and start taking your shots, right? Because you essentially you miss every shot that you don't take. And as far as what I did to stand out, it's literally just that I just kept going. I kept applying. I'd switch up my resume and I'd apply again, and I'd ask for feedback. So sometimes recruiters, they're nice enough to kind of give you feedback on like what went wrong, right? and I'd reach out to them. So instead of just like getting that rejection email, I wouldn't just stop there, right? It's like, hey, I'd email back and, thank them for their time and just like ask, like, was there anything that I could have done differently? And, like slowly but surely I got, a little bit better each time. So again, if there's one thing, that the viewers take away is to just fail fast, just to get started.
Yeah. Marcellus.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, Raian. I think you brought up a really good point about like just continuing to go and just keep moving forward. I know it could be really discouraging when you're submitting 100, 200 applications and you're not getting the results that that you're looking for back. But to just know that this no is just helping you get to your yes. It's just a step in the right direction. Like Raian said, like just keep going, keep failing fast, sending out those applications. And another tip with that, I would say, is to not just send blind applications. Like it's great to apply to a bunch of different roles and different things, but if you can try to get in touch with a human, because that's how we connect. Try to find something on LinkedIn. Try to find someone that works at the company. If you can get a referral, it's always a lot easier to use a referral than going through the traditional pipeline. I call it the front door. If you can get in through a side door and skip the line, it's a lot easier to be able to showcase your skills, especially in this current environment that we have with AI, resume reading softwares and things that can just get you chopped off really quickly. Just try to get in touch with an actual human who you can actually connect with, you can resonate with and share your story. And then plus 100 too, when you do get that rejection and you are working with a human, to ask like, how could I be better? Because if you keep going and you're doing the same thing, you're sending application after application, but you're not changing anything, you're not editing, you're not pivoting, then it's pretty much insanity because you're doing the same thing and hoping for a different result. But if you're learning from each failure and turning it into a lesson, then that would be a great way to stand out.
Thank you for sharing that. And Jenna, I think, what were your thoughts? I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, you went to my daughter's school, right? You went to my daughter's school and we were trying to prepare the high school class, the graduating high school class on how to market themselves and the resumes and everything else. Like, what were their standout? Like, what were your thoughts? Because again, we talked about when people should apply, and both of them said start at the high school level if you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think practicing networking, I mean, it was brought up before, just like dropping calls on people's calendars, right? Like, yeah, we have access to do that inside of Amazon because we have calendars to see when there's availability. But I get all the time, I get LinkedIn messages. People try to connect based off of like my alma mater, for example, and I'll take the calls. They're usually brief, and I might not have anything to like transact with in terms of a job, but just offering advice makes a big difference. So maybe there's a little bit of a numbers game, like you applied for 100 and you got one. That makes me feel sad, but the one that you got the job. So your conversion was incredible at the point of where it matters, where you were more than your resume, you're a human being. My son is in college and he applied for internships for the summer. He didn't get any. So I feel sad about that. So I don't know. I think maybe he didn't try hard enough. And maybe as his mother and recruiter, I probably could have coached him a little bit more. But I think Marcellus's point about persevering and really reflecting upon what you can do differently and kind of A/B test and experiment. There's a lot to be learned through that process. And no two people's experiences are exactly the same, too.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And the one thing that stood out is the practice part, right? The other key advice that really stood out to me is like, take that opportunity in that industry or company you never heard of before, just to get that experience, even if it means I'll never want to work there ever full time, right? Even if that's the outcome. But either way, it's being able to practice and get that. And I want to acknowledge a few things that were in the chat. Let me quickly pop it up on screen. E from DC, my man Eric, being a Howard University alum, I recently asked a few people at the Skill Center in Arlington, VA, about diversity in AWS, and they told me the company was tremendously supportive of diversity in the org, which is absolutely true. Even today, is one of the key examples, right? So the other thing, by the way, welcome Isaiah. I know Isaiah is one of our weekly fans. So 60% of the time you get feedback all the time. That's why you have to ask. If you have to stay silent, you can expect silence. Absolutely. And so with that, let's see. There's a question here from Christopher. Ryan and Marcellus, do you have advice for interns who are already within AWS who may want to try a different career path for the next summer? Who wants to take that?
I can go ahead and jump into that. Yeah, my advice, of course, and first and foremost, is to uh, do as best as you can during the internship that you already have. All right, that's priority number one. Getting a return offer, whether it's getting that return offer, whether it's gaining as much experience as you can in what you're currently doing, and then kind of setting your sights on what you could do next. So that's step number one. Step number two would be to like network your butt off, right? Whether it's uh, networking within your team or like reaching out outside of your org or outside of your vertical and kind of getting that conversation started. Once you're in AWS, it's a little bit easier to do just that. So take advantage of that. And then step number three would kind of get the gears in motion as far as reaching out to managers, reaching out to recruiters, and letting them know like where your thoughts are. Your team, especially early on, is very supportive, right? Like early career talent, they're treated really well within AWS in the sense that you can go to your manager and say like, hey, I love being an SA, but I'm also interested in becoming a software engineer. Like, what are your thoughts in regards to that process? Is there anyone that you can connect me to have that conversation? So again, it's all kind of a loop in the sense that you got to do what you got to do first, start to network, and then start to kind of set some calls up, start to you kind of broadcast, what your goals and intentions are as far as your current position. There's a couple of ways you can go about it. You can again come back to AWS and do like that internal switch. It's a little bit easier to do that. Like once you come back as a full-time employee, like again letting your manager know that like, hey, I'm curious about this role and I'm thinking about applying, and usually in most cases they're supportive. You can also like apply for another internship within AWS. With your current experience, your chances are pretty good getting it that way. So you got a couple of options. 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what's next? Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. I was just gonna jump in and add to that +1, Ryan. So that point, I think it's really good. The other thing I really like about AWS and Amazon is our leadership principles. And one leadership principle that comes to mind here is ownership. If you go to your manager, maybe at some other companies, and you say like, "Hey, like I'm not really looking to do this going forward. Like, could you help me find something else?" And they have to hire you back. That may be a decision that they need to make between themselves. But here at AWS, if they really think you're a good employee and you stand out as being owners in the company and we're just wanting the company to do well, they will help you find the best fit for you because that will, in the day, benefit everyone as a whole, making sure you're in the right role. So I would say definitely +1 to what Ryan's saying is leverage your manager, let them know like, hey, like I'm killing it, I'm busting my butt every day, but I'm also interested in this role over here. And then just putting time on people's calendar while you have access as an intern to figure out just 15-minute coffee chat, like, hey, what do you do? What do you like about what you do? What do you not like what about what you do? How did you get to where you are? And just getting that information, I think, is a huge opportunity while you're here.
Awesome.
So as you're having these calls, even for yourselves at this point, like how are you using the intel that you're collecting to help you define what's next for you both?
Yeah, 100%. Like I'll go back to my original point in terms of just like having the conversations internally with my colleagues, with other people within AWS, and kind of picking their brains. Like being early career talent, like these are kind of like uncharted territories for us as we navigate. So like I don't really know, and up until this point, I still don't really know, like what's in store for me for like the next 2-3 years, right? Like I'm kind of taking it day by day and trying to, be like a sponge and really soak up just all the information that's around me. But what I, tend to do is I take note of everybody's experience and, their own goals. So I know, for example, like I've spoken to some LDRs and they're looking to level up by becoming like an account manager. So that's their kind of growth. Their growth is internal within the company. Some people are looking to go start their own, startups, right? And take whatever experience that they gained at AWS and kind of go in that route. Others are looking to, again, hit those executive level positions in other companies. So as of right now, I'm still learning as far as kind of creating that calculated game plan for myself. But I'm just keeping the conversations going every day.
Nice.
What are your thoughts, Marcellus?
Yeah, I think Raian kind of hit the nail on the head. Just figuring it out, taking it step by step, day by day. I think it's a really good approach. I mean, we all have our 5 year and our 10 year goals and things that we hope to do in our personal lives and professional lives as well. But it all starts with day one. And here at AWS, every day is day one. So being able to leverage that and just start fresh each day with the mindset, okay, what do I want to achieve today? What do I want to learn today? How can I help excel in my role? How can I overachieve? My personal goal is to try to get an outstanding review next year. So that's what I'm striving for. So working backwards from that to see, okay, what do I need to do today to be able to excel in that and kind of like leave no questions. So yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm actually right now just multitasking a little bit, only because we had some new users, don't know what's happening there, so we kind of had to whisper them and quiet them down a little bit. With that, we'd love to get your thoughts on on this show and in general. We actually put out a quick survey that I just added into the chat. And the other thing I want to do is, depending on which platform you're streaming from, some people are here through Twitch, some are here through through our YouTube careers channel. Make sure you follow each other, because they have different type of content. Where in Twitch it's live interaction, and you actually have a lot of builder sessions here. Primarily, that's what Twitch is for. You can actually connect with people. So if you're brand new and learning, this is your opportunity to go in and pick a topic that you're interested in learning, but also then connect with the people that are running the show. It's your opportunity to say, hey, I'm really interested in security, saw this live episode, I was building alongside with you, would love to connect as well. Let's start the relationship from that aspect, and that'll help you in the future, because it also demonstrates some kind of credibility from our end. We get contacted with people all the time. Sometimes it's spam stuff and you don't want to deal with it, and then other times we have someone legit genuinely trying to learn. So that's another tip I want to give people that are actually building, looking to build technologies. So again, whether you're a novice or you're expert level, a lot of great shows on Twitch for you to follow. The other is, if you want to learn more about the other side, right, where you actually want to see, someone mentioned about diversity, what it's like here. You have programs like ours that are housed now on the AWS Careers YouTube channel, as well as a day in the life of X. You want to know what it's like to be a solutions architect. You want to know what it's like to be a sales manager. Whatever it is, there's a lot of great content for you to take a look at, and then make an informed decision for yourself, rather than hearing parroted noise elsewhere. This is why we do this, and we call this customer obsession, because we want to make sure that you have all the relevant information at your disposal for you to make an informed decision for yourself. Because your future matters to you, and it matters to us, because we want to build together. So that's that. And also bookmark our page. We're going to house this episode. If you want to share this episode with someone later on, in about a week or so, we'll have it pasted on our Becoming Awesome landing page. So this is great for your family and friends, especially if you have kids that are in high school or in college right now, just to hear what both Ryan's and Marcel's perspective have been, and to give them guidance. So this is what this is all about. So with that, I want to just, again, final thoughts. Final thoughts before we wrap up the show. Ryan, I just want to get your perspective on, again, the importance of Ben in terms of what people could get out of it, and then what your experience has been like today.
Yeah, so just to wrap up, again, Benturns is really aimed at Black interns within AWS. Of course, it's open to all interns and to all employees within AWS. But our goal really is to kind of provide that platform where they can network, advance socially with one another, get the latest and greatest as far as, its current events happening within AWS. We have office hours that we're going to start to put into play for the interns. So like if they have any questions or they need guidance in a specific topic, whether it's, within their own role or just understanding the resources at their disposal. So we're going to put that into play pretty soon. So we're excited to do just that. And again, thank you for the opportunity to jump on here and kind of spread the word regarding Benturns. It's been great speaking with you, and I really appreciate it.
Awesome. What about you, Marcellus?
The thing I would want to say, or advice I would want to give to the current interns, and just to spread the word about Benturns, is that it takes a village and it takes a community to do anything with purpose and passion. If you do it on your own or do it in isolation, it's not going to work out too well. We're made and designed to be in relation with one another. So whether it's Benturn or whether it's another affinity group or another support group completely outside of work, just make sure you find your community where you can connect, encourage, uplift one another. It feels really good to give back and to help others, and it's really beneficial for them to be able to make impact in their lives and their career journeys. I'm sure we all have people that we can look to and say, like, this person helped me do this, whether it's our parents, our siblings, a coach, a mentor. So keep that in mind as you move and navigate throughout your career journey and professional journey, and just look to be able to give impact and give back to others.
Awesome.
Thank you both for all that you do. You are truly a source of inspiration, and the fact that you've built this community that has posterity is incredible.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And thank you for all that you do, for sure. We did have a question, like E from DC. This is your opportunity to ask questions. We have just a few more minutes left. If you want to ask something directed to Jenna and I, or even our guest, please ask away in chat. And as we wait for those questions for anyone, actually, let's see. This is a great question. I started studying AI and ML a while back and saw the new AI and ML practitioner certs in the last week. Will your team be hiring those who gained the cert? So, Jenna, do you want to give overall advice on this? Otherwise, I could take it.
Well, I think you're a little bit more immersed in the AI ML space at this time than I am. So totally do.
Yeah. So the practitioner cert, just like the AWS Cloud Practitioner cert, which I did obtain, it gives you an overall view of the different services and whatnot. And this one now is more focused on AI and ML. It's to give you foundational knowledge. So to have these certifications is super beneficial, not only for your own personal professional growth, but as far as us hiring, just based on that, it depends on the level, right? So again, it's a very foundational, but if I were to look at an application for, like, say, internship, and there's four applications that came in, all have very almost identical backgrounds. They all went to good schools, etc. But if I see someone that's currently taking certifications, especially if they're brand new too, they're gonna catch my eye more. I'll be honest. That's me. That's how I operate. If I'm really looking at multiple applications, who will stand out? The person that's really up to date, especially if you said we just posted this and you already got the certification. You're damn right I'm going to look at you, and I probably will contact you and say, hey, that was quick. What made you decide to do that, right? And you're probably one of the first people I talked to that actually got the cert. So it'll definitely help you stand out. That's my take. So, but if we're looking for hiring for something more senior, and that's all you have, most likely that's not going to be the case. But for internships, absolutely, that'll definitely help you stand out. Great question. And we'll wait for another minute or so, and see if there are any other questions. But again, looking at this, follow the AWS Careers, AWS Careers on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. Again, there's a lot of great content that's going to be relevant, and also for Twitch, hit the follow button. Follow AWS channel. It'll tell you which programs are going live. You may be alerted to a program you never heard of before, like, oh, that sounds interesting. Jump on for a few minutes, see if it's something that's relevant to you, and then maybe see if there's someone you definitely should be connected to. And then, and lastly, our questions are very simple. It's two quick questions and then one open-ended for any open feedback. It'll take you a minute to fill out. It's super important because that'll help us create content or bring on guests that will actually be relevant to your background. So, yeah, again, Ephraim DC, glad you understood both sides of it and appreciate it. And thank you all for jumping on the chat. Ryan, Marcellus, you both were fantastic. I think there's a lot of great information for everybody, especially for the future graduates as well, and currently and the current folks here at AWS with what you're doing. And again, we need more people to feed that cycle of life here. So appreciate you both. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, Jenna,
Thank you.
pleasure as always, and thank you for the insightful questions as well. And look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.